So this channel has a problem. And no, I'm not talking about this. See, I'm here to entertain people like you by making videos about MMOs, maybe even inform you of some stuff along the way. What I'm not here to do, however, is suck off the authoritarian version of Cyber Robocop, otherwise known as the YouTube algorithm, in order to peddle some low-quality garbage into your recommended feed. I much prefer my low-quality garbage to be more naturally occurring, like a hurricane. Or women's rights. Ironically though, in an attempt to make videos for autists instead of robots, I'm kind of handicapping myself. It's kind of like joining the Olympic long jump team but being stuck in a wheelchair. And as we're all probably aware by now, there's currently no vegetables holding any of those records. This video, along with some of the shorter ones that I'm preparing in the future, is an attempt to fix that. Not my channel, I mean, not the people in wheelchairs. I'm not a doctor. Now, I'm never going to truly care about digital Satan, but I can at least try and use it as a tool to ensure that this video gets to its intended audience. And more importantly, I get to make your day just that little bit worse by having an opinion on the internet. Now, as the only degenerate qualified enough and MMO YouTuber brave enough, as far as I know, it falls to me to complete this backbreaking task in a poorly disguised attempt to try and educate you on art styles in MMOs. So let's rank a few of them today in the only standard that really matters anymore in the modern age. Bangability. Let's start this list off simple. World of Warcraft, classic. / vanilla. TBC expansion included.
You are not prepared.
Say what you want about the gameplay, but man did those models have some style for their time, and some of those armor sets were built just right. This game well and truly does cater to a wide range of degeneracy. Hot corrupted nuns in your area? You got it. You're into some of that rougher stuff? It's right there waiting for you. You still got one of those normal testosterone levels despite all that microplastic in your bloodstream? Classics got you covered. Maybe you're a Genshin Impact player. They didn't forget about you either, my soon-to-be registered friend. And if you think for a second that I forgot about all the ladies out there who are never gonna find this channel anyway, you're dead wrong. Classics got thick boys, thin boys, boys with spinal problems, and even lady boys. This game has it all, and I'd like to tell you that this game got me beating my dick like it owes me rent. But I can't. There's a few things, aside from the gnomes, that just bring it down a notch. First is the cartoonish look and feel to the game. The art style is obviously intended to lean away from a more realistic and towards a very stylized look. This not only gives the game its own flavor and style, but it does limit audience size. Some people will look at WoW and think the style's pretty cool and unique, and others are gonna look at it and just see it as a complete turnoff. Never come back, despite the existence of blue space goats with all the right kinds of back problems. Second problem is all the obvious polygons that we've got going on here. Don't get me wrong, I think the styles in this game are quite unique, varied, memorable even. But I don't think that the art style can be called timeless. If we're being totally honest, we don't really remember this game that much because it's an achievement in game character design that just blew us out of the water. But because the game itself, the gameplay, the endgame, it was just so good for its time. In short, her age is starting to show, and if tomorrow you went out there and you found your average, tasteless, brain-damaged Gen Z gamer and you just showed him this game, told him to try it out a little bit, he'd come back to you and he'd tell you that it's just low-poly trash. There's no way he'd call it a retro style. Now bear with me before you get mad. World of Warcraft follows along the same lines as definitely not gay sailor theory. It's been months since I've seen a woman, let alone been with one. And I can't even yank my way out of this problem without the waves messing up my pacing or the captain yelling at me to do something. Gotta say, Jeremy do be looking mighty thick these days. That lad best hope he sleeps on his back tonight, or there might be a few extra seamen in his bed. See, what happens is that after a while of playing this game, you look at this and start thinking it looks like this. But it's all in your head. You've just been playing for a little bit too long. You probably forgot what the grass outside your bedroom window looks like. Might want to just, turn the game off for a little bit and go outside. So taking off those nostalgia goggles, those rose-tinted glasses, this game very respectably lands at half chub. But with that being said, modern WoW lands right about here instead. The graphics are better, sure. You can jerk off to that without the worry of cutting yourself on one of those triangle tits. But a while back, Activision Blizzard went on a puritanical rampage, and they decided that the best way to deal with all these sexual assault allegations was to start covering up the goods in-game. Anything remotely spicy or that touched on a sexual theme at all, they just toned down or completely removed in some cases, which not only damages your regular player's ability to jerk off to the paintings in-game, but it damages the initial intent of the art that was created. And as a bonus, it lets players know that they're willing to change whatever they want, whenever they want, just because they feel like it, or because they can't figure out how to, fix their own story. Also, the game went from having just the right amount of variety to just way too much. Don't you tell me that those new age game developers aren't into it. They're into it. But next on the list, we've got Destiny 2, and this one goes out to all those people out there who want to some real heavy-duty machinery that you might just want to be a little bit drunk before you attempt to operate it with your genitals. There's not nearly as much variety here. You're essentially choosing between normal Earth humans, edgy albino space humans, and sex robots that became self-aware and decided to remove that synthetic skin that we always put on them. Oh yeah, your character also gets their own personal flying anal bead. Since all the other species that we know of in this game are enemies in one way or another, well, if you want something out of them, then you gotta commit a few struggle snuggles, if you know what I mean. But at least there is some variation here as opposed to, just people. You got the cyberpunk Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the race that can jack you and your entire party off all at once, sex robots again, except angrier, and also insect space zombies for those into some real messed up stuff. But what it lacks in variety, it makes up for in quality. There's a semi-realistic sci-fi feel to everything in this game, and in a lot of cases, the mechanical stuff just looks better than most of the organic stuff. Isn't that right, Jada? The art style in this game looks like it's gonna have an easier time looking good in 10 years or so versus some other games out there, purely because it looks like Bungie spared no expense going full-on sci-fi metallic lens flare on us. There's plenty of these neat little detailings just lying all over the game that you don't generally see in other MMOs. But that's also the problem with Destiny 2. The art style has all these cool, outlandish designs that look like you just kitted out your toaster with the latest and greatest in RGB technology. But at the end of the day, a toaster is still there to just make you toast. Unless you're planning to in pursuit of form, it seems they forgot a little bit about function. Tell me, just quickly, what purpose do these nutsack pauldrons serve that couldn't be accomplished with something, I don't know, a bit more suited to the human form? It's like they took all the grit that you found in D1 and they just threw that out the window. Most people just look like a collectible action figure that just hasn't been unwrapped. And not even the scantily clad ones that some lonely dudes collect to pull wire to. What makes up for the limitation in kink diversity and over-stylization though? It's the scenery. In some ways, some of these backdrops and environments are just more bangable than some of the characters in game. I mean, just look at this place. If you can look me in the eye and tell me with a deadpan expression that you wouldn't tap that, I know I'm dealing with a psychopath. The best way I can think to sum up Destiny 2 is like this. Imagine your dream is to take a cheese grater all the way to Pound Town. Now you could go into your kitchen right now, grab one, select a corresponding hole size, and forever be known as that guy who got stuck in an ER room with a cheese grater attached to his meaty bits. Or you could just play Destiny 2. But I'm not here to judge you. If that's your dream, well then, you go for it. But I am here to judge the game. So I'm going to put this one right here at Flaccid. Then again, the game does have floating space vagina with teeth. Semi. Last on the list today is one of the last big three. Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I'm not usually a man who's for them Chinese cartoon MMOs, but they did a really good job here of riding that very fine line between kinky bunny or cat ears and just outright bestiality that you might find elsewhere. Sometimes they might fall a little bit too far over that line, but it's not nearly as bad as it could be. Now to go out of my way to really get under the skin of the weebs here, the character art style of Final Fantasy is incredibly generic for an Eastern developed MMO.
How dare you!
Every single design in the character creator, aside from what should be in a zoo or the escapees from Epstein Island, is just you making your own personalized anime protagonist with different body accents. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but Aura aren't really dragon descendants. They just look like people with a few extra handlebars for you to hold on to while you But to be honest, that's not such a bad thing. I'm not an avid Final Fantasy fan, but even I have to admit that the style, the art, it all ties in very well with the story, with the way people play their character, with all the role-playing you see going on in the game. Looking at FF14 in its base form, without any modifications to it, it's still a pretty good game. Vibrant colors, good detailing despite all the in-game engine limitations, and there's a really good blend of character style with all the outfits that you can see people in. To put it into perspective, I've seen people have whole relationships in this game, watch them blossom and die. Because in the end, don't we all just want a 9-foot-tall bunny mommy to shove our dick? This is a game that's obviously unashamed of its sexuality and unwilling to ruin its aesthetic for something that didn't happen in game. And I can respect that. Save for the generic character design, which they make up for anyway by increasing racial sexual tension by giving different variants within certain species. There's a wide range of scenery that just fits into the larger theme of the game. The art style is a good tie-in for all the other millions of Final Fantasy games out there that I'm never gonna play, and some real weird and wacky creatures out there of all shapes and sizes for you to imagine being inside of you, or you inside of them. Or both. The real debate for all the Kumas who play this game is it just comes down to a civil war of which race they find the hottest personally, and whose face they're gonna draw on that cantaloupe that they just finished warming up in the microwave. So even though I admittedly haven't played this game that much, I can quite easily throw this one right up there into the engorger category. With the only things really holding it back being the, well, outright bestiality, and the small children that the deeply hardcore RP players in the game are trying to pretend are 300-year-old magic midgets, and therefore legal. Yeah, tell that to the judge and see how far that gets you. So that's the 3 I had on the list today. If people like the series, well then I'll continue it. If not, I'll find something else to do. I am planning to do easier videos while working on longer stuff, so my channel has a chance of not dying anytime soon. But as always, a big thank to all my subscribers, both old and new.
He's pulling his cock out!
And a special thank to the illustrious board members who keep the Spank Bank full and functioning, who get to watch these videos before anyone else. I'll be back to expand on this list fairly soon, assuming people enjoy it. Bye.